Today on the LA Food Podcast, did the infatuation just release the Da Vinci Code of burgers? Does Evan Funke deserve to be on Chef's Table? And why are fast food jobs in California on the rise despite the rising minimum wage? Father Saul's with us to discuss all of that and to tell us the final food stops on his most recent Los Angeles visit. Plus, a round of bad idea, horrible idea featuring a cheeky fast food franchise, a big Taco Bell gelato swing, and LA's world-famous bacon-wrapped street hot dogs. But arguably more important than all of this, no offense Saul, we're joined on today's pod by a man whose mustache precedes him, the icon known as Joe Sasto. Joe is a Michelin-pedigree chef whose exploits at San Francisco's Quince and Lazy Bear earned him the chance to go on Top Chef. His high-octane performance on his season earned him a third-place finish, the opportunity to compete on Top Chef All-Stars, and more importantly, a place in the pantheon of Top Chef greats. Today, Chef Joe brings us with him on his journey from falling in love with what he calls tweezer food to becoming a master of pasta, and today, putting his mastery to work in the form of one of the most exciting snacks on the market, Tantos Pasta Chips. There's so much in this conversation. We talk about what it takes to earn Michelin stars, why he decided to enter the CPG space, who he most fears competing against on Guy Fieri's Tournament of Champions, and one of my favorite anecdotes, how he became one of the only people on earth who's ever served the Voltaggio brothers literal testicles. So hold on to your mustache, dear listener, because you're about to get sastoed. Don't forget to subscribe to our free newsletter, LA Food Stack, in the show notes for access to all of the stories we discuss on today's episode. And please consider leaving us a rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm your host, Lucas Servodio, and without further ado, let's chow down. Dear listener, I made a deal with my wife. She let me start a food podcast and eat ungodly amounts of noodles, pizza, sandwiches, and more under two conditions. One is that I never utter her name. The other is that I find ways to be healthy outside of my work in food. Being the fantastic partner I am, I found a few ways to up my health game. I exercise almost every day, I try to sneak in salads for lunch whenever I can, and I only ever snack on healthy foods. The macadamia nut has become an essential part of my daily routine with the best omega-6 to 3 ratios in the nut game, 8 times better than pistachios and 20 times better than cashews. At houseofmacadamias.com, they've got a bunch of different macadamia products that you can enjoy, like savory and sweet snack packs and chocolate-covered snack bars. One of the problems with macadamias I've found is that they can be expensive, but I'm solving this for you, dear listener, because as of today, all you've got to do is head to houseofmacadamias.com and use code LAFOOD to get a 10% discount on a healthy snack that also happens to be delicious. So what are you waiting for? Head to www.houseofmacadamias.com/discount/LAFood and go nuts. Welcoming back to the LA Food Podcast, a man whose nickname might as well be the Super Spreader. It's Father Saul. Father Saul, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Fresh off a wonderful trip to LA. Honestly, one of the best weeks of my entire year. Yes, we did have a run-in with COVID. I can get into that a little bit more, but that didn't put a damper on. Well, I shouldn't say it didn't put a damper on anything. Didn't put a damper on anything for me. Emily had a little bit of a rough go of it.
Are you forecasting your shitty Yelp review of the week?
No, not quite, because the thing is this, it can't be proved that I was the one who gave it to her. I suspect I am. She thinks it was the flight, but the thing is she got symptoms right after she landed, basically, and that's not quite how COVID works, but so I suspect I might be responsible, but it can't be proven. I'm like, yeah, did it start in a lab? Who knows? Can't trace it.
You are the penguin. Look, all I know is that we had dinner with you the night that Emily started feeling some symptoms, and
Yeah.
we feel fine, honestly. Like, so
Thank God. Yeah.
I don't know what happened there, but our vaxes that we got last year are still working.
I honestly think what might have saved you is that we were sitting right beneath an air conditioning vent at Horses that was like blowing directly into Emily's face, and maybe therefore everyone behind her got COVID while she was freezing cold and miserable, and you guys were saved. Yeah.
To all our friends, our new friends at Horses, by the way, if your customers got COVID, we apologize. And I say our new friends because that meme I made of you at Horses, like slowly realizing that your dream job is to work at Horses, it did really well, and it got some reaction from Horses.
Wait, I don't know you made a meme? What is this?
Not a meme. Like I made like a video clip of you like superimposed on Horses, slowly realizing.
Oh, talking. Yeah. Well, it was more talking. I didn't interpret it as me slowly realizing I wanted to work there. I felt like I was relaying a story about how I was alphaed by our waiter at Horses the whole time. So that's cool. I appreciate that they like that.
Yeah, the logical conclusion of that though is that you being the alpha, realizing you got out alphaed.
Oh,
you kind of realize that the only way to reassert your dominance is to become the server at Horses.
That's right. Every alpha needs to work as a waiter. that's the end game of the alpha male mentality.
Well, unfortunately, the fact that Emily got COVID, it robbed us of one dining opportunity together. But did you end up going to any other spots while you were in town?
Oh yeah, we hit, first of all, so I think it was Wednesday night was Horses, right? Thursday we had one of my favorite days of the whole time was our arts district day. So me, Isa, Emily's still like kind of trooping through because we didn't want to believe it was COVID right away, right? We didn't take a test right off the bat. So we went out and we just basically hit 3 different spots of the arts district, got some gorilla tacos, got to see how my efforts compared to the real thing. I'm just going to say Emily thought I'd do a little bit better.
Wow.
Just going to say that. She's not biased at all. And then we hit Bavel for Isa's favorite dinner of the whole trip. She said Bavel, I think, hit every part of the experience for her. And then on Friday, when we realized Emily was down sick, me and Isa went over to Culver City, got some Pasta Sisters.
Oh, nice.
That was... Actually, I've had Pasta Sisters on my, I've been following them on Insta forever, since I was living in LA and they had initially opened, and damn, that hit. I had a better experience at Pasta Sisters than, dare I say, Cento? Might have.
You can say that now because Chef Abner was on the podcast last week. He's unlikely to be listening this week, so feel free to talk all the shit you want.
By the way, big fan of his. I like just personality. Super magnetic. I haven't listened to the whole podcast. I'm talking purely about the clip, and I liked the energy and the perspective. So just to be clear, like I said before, Cento was Emily's favorite dinner that we had during the trip. Maybe because her lack of taste buds from COVID hadn't quite hit yet, but she loved it, and I'm excited to go back and try the rest of the pastas. And then finally, here's looking at you.
Oh, you went?
Yeah, we went. Me, my cousins Zanera and Isa, the 3 of us went. It was. I will say, have been looking forward to that for a while. It's probably the product of literally eating out every single night back to back.
Yeah.
But by the time I got there, I was like, okay, the steak we had at Here's Looking at You didn't match the steak at Mod. At that point, you're just comparing
totally
to every past experience. So it was a great vibe, cool energy down there, but it wasn't like a standout. And then got a cheeky cake slice at Sweet Lady Jane afterwards. My first time there.
You visited the Sweet Lady?
The Sweet Lady, baby, in Larchmont Village. That was very good. I'm a fan.
Which cake did you get?
It was, I don't remember what it was called. It was like a vanilla cake with chocolate ganache and stuff through it. That's like my ideal cake. So that hit.
Wait, so you're aware of all the controversy at Sweet Lady Jane, right?
It's funny because I've seen Sweet Lady Jane come up in our agenda in the past, and I've always been like, dude, I don't know. I've never had it, so just take it off. But I never, therefore, read the stuff behind it. What's going on with it now that I've actually sampled the product?
Yeah, now that you've actually sampled the goods. So Sweet Lady Jane has been like an institution in LA for a long time. Their triple berry cake was like the official cake of basic bitches everywhere for, years on end. Mm-hmm. And it's very good. But I want to say earlier this year, late last year, basically Sweet Lady Jane started closing all their locations suddenly, and then all these stories started emerging of like alleged wage theft and like bad practices in general by the Sweet Lady herself.
Oh no.
And yeah, and but to be fair, I think what ended up happening is somebody else bought the company and started reopening them slowly. I need to fact check that, but my understanding is that whatever was happening at Sweet Lady Jane has been cleaned up and rectified in some way. So what you sampled is the sanitized version of Sweet Lady Jane.
Gotcha. Well, naturally, supporting a good business practice, always important, always important for me and very, very present. I thought you were legit going to say, yeah, bro, turns out their chocolate ganache was made of hamster shit. I was going to be like, fuck.
Yeah. No, that's just Squirrel where they serve the moldy jam, which I don't
Oh, right.
Do you still go there?
No, I haven't been. I went to Squirrel back. Squirrel? Is it Squirrel or Squirrel, by the way?
Definitely Squirrel. It's written Squirrel, but it's definitely pronounced Squirrel.
Yeah. Someone was eating too much mold before they fucking named the restaurant, misspelled the word. I went there back when it was hot. I sampled some of the moldy jam. It was a cool experience, but I haven't been back since. Although, look, the ricotta cheese with jam, that was a nice little like dish, right? I never want a huge piece of toast with ricotta and jam. Like I never like again, brunch food is kind of like a breakfast food in general. I got to be in the right mood for, and it's got to be the right kind of breakfast food. So Squirrel doesn't feature in a big way in my LA appreciation.
I feel you. I haven't been in years. I definitely haven't been since Jamgate. That would be an interesting one, like a Squirrel revisit post the drama to see if it's still all the rage. But I did want to tell you quickly about a couple experiences I had recently too.
Let's do it.
Because just because I didn't go with you doesn't mean I didn't go anywhere.
You don't exist outside my life. I'm the main character. I just assume you're sitting in your apartment, staring at a wall, staring at your microphone, waiting to talk to me again.
That is actually, before you called on, I was literally singing Post Malone into this microphone just because
I heard you a little bit as I was jumping in.
That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. But anyway, so speaking of Post Malone and his new country album, I've been listening to it nonstop, and I've been really wanting an opportunity to go sing it somewhere, like karaoke style.
Oh my God, I know what this is going to be about.
I mean, I recently learned of this place called Desert 5 Spot in Hollywood, which is a sick like Joshua Tree themed rooftop bar right next to Mama Shelter at this hotel called Tommy, not too far from where you and I met back when we were working at our former company.
Yeah.
Golden Era. And I gotta say, I wasn't expecting too much, but this place is awesome, dude. It's a really cool rooftop bar. The vibes are on point. There's like Dolly Parton signs everywhere and stuff. They really create a good vibe. I'm into it. I'm a sucker for that right now. And, went with a couple of our mutual friends, had a couple mezcal cocktails, a couple Calidad beers. And by the time cowboy karaoke, as they call it, started at 10:30, I was loose and ready to go. However, the unfortunate truth is that they did not yet have the new Post Malone album on their records. So Abdo and I were forced to sing Mr. Brightside, which might as well be our shitty Yelp review of the week.
That is amazing. You and Abdo doing karaoke together is a story that we should bookmark for someday. Maybe when we revisit a Mexico City trip or something like that. I will say I saw you post this video on your Instagram, and I was immediately like, I ain't watching this. And I literally skipped ahead as I saw you like on it. I was like, I can't deal with this. I'm very snarky about karaoke, but as you described the vibe, look, I'd probably have a good time. That sounds really cool.
And from a food perspective, they have a guy making tacos there on some like really good tortillas as well. So rooftop tacos, great drinks, great relatively cheap beers by Hollywood rooftop standards. And there's like line dancing and stuff. The energy is on point. I'll definitely be going back to Desert 5 Spot. Next time you're in town, maybe we squeeze it in.
I would love to. Joshua Tree themed bar, by the way, is a great idea.
Yeah.
Like really like smart. Like that desert. I feel like that desert sort of feel is having a moment between I feel like Palm Springs is getting hot, or has been increasingly getting hotter and hotter, not literally, but like in terms of interest, maybe due to the movie or whatever. And then Joshua Tree, it's a great concept.
Yeah,
for the spot.
It's a really good concept. I was thoroughly impressed, and I will be going back. Let's move on to talking to the news of the day. There's not all that much to discuss. One thing that you sent me and that other people also sent me on Instagram was a post by The Infatuation. They dropped earlier this week their updated list of the best burgers in LA, and it's a list of 20 burgers. It's a good list, fine. There's always going to be places that people agree with, that people don't agree with. But their social media post was really interesting because it was like a grid, an almost like athletic style grid assessment of where the burgers fall depending on their category. Are they classic? Are they creative? Are they smashed or are they thick? And they sort of plotted all the burgers on the list on this graph. I spent an inordinate amount of time looking at this graph. Why did you send it to me?
Well, I just thought it was an interesting way, for like just a different looking Instagram post. I feel like Infatuation has done grids like this before. Maybe they've tried them in Seattle, and I've seen it in my Infatuation Seattle feed. But I just thought I appreciate like the simplicity of a visualization like that. I'm always a fan of a good grid, man. In fact, a little bit of a lore with us. I don't know, back when I still worked at our old company where we met, me and one of our favorite partners at the place made a grid together for a particular piece of work. We were like mapping different companies against like their social justice initiatives, essentially. And then I left the company and you rejoined it.
Oh yeah.
Joined that project, which I had spent like over a year on doing all this thinking, making the visualization, literally using it with clients. And then what do I see? A couple months later, your name on an article in like MIT Slow Management Review, super like notable paper, talking about this work, all the shit that I did. I was like, you gotta be kidding me that you subbed in here. So anyway, appreciate a good grid and thought that it reminded me of that moment.
Man, I never knew how salty you were about that intellectual theft.
Yeah, I didn't either until I started thinking about it, and I was like, this bullshit, man. I would be at MIT right now if it had been me on that article.
The funny part about that is that I took shots at a company in that article that I later ended up working at, and I was always nervous that would come back to bite me, but it never did. So, it shows you not a lot of people are reading MIT Slow Management Review.
The last thing I'll say really quick, just on an overview in terms of reactions to what the Infatuation did, interesting to me and notable in this overall like smash burgers are over, I think, narrative that's come about, that the majority of the burgers of the 20 that they ranked as like the top in LA falling on that thick end of the side of the graph, right? Like very, very select smash burger options, but everything else was like a classic or creative thick burger.
It is interesting. And actually, there is sort of a movement happening, I think, a sort of like anti-smash burger movement. And there are people saying, okay, thick burgers are back in action. In fact, I think it was Karen Palmer of SF Gate who wrote a great piece last week or last couple weeks about sort of like this renaissance of thick burgers in LA, led by places like the Benjamin. I think it's a real thing that's happening. I will say, there's not a whole lot of smashed creative burgers. The quadrant clearly shows that there is white space for smashed creative burgers, other than Ban Ban Burger, which was this burger, this sort of like Thai influenced smash burger, which got the New York Times treatment last week, actually. There's really nothing in that category.
Yeah, very few. I mean, there's a similar burger to, I think, Bon Bon in, or whatever it's called, Ban Ban Bon Bon in Seattle, like Oxbow Burger, where they take Southeast Asian flavors, put them in a smash burger, and it's one of the best in the city. But going back to something you might not remember, we once had a debate very briefly on this podcast where I said there's very little difference between smash burgers, right? A smash burger is like basically the same. It's like smash patties, cheese, onion, pickle, sauce, like every single time. And you were like, no, there are like big, differences, blah, blah, blah. No, there's not. I think basically when you have the best smash burgers, it's the people doing that simple execution as well as possible with a couple. I mean, I wonder if we will see more people trying to get creative with it. I'm a little surprised we haven't seen more already, people trying to elevate the smash burger. But for the most part, I think the grid and overall list reflects the fact that, look, there are a couple people who just do the smash burger really well, and that's it. And then everything else innovative burger-wise is like in the thick direction.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you now. I think the difference in smash burgers is execution and sourcing of ingredients. Like, I think one of the best ones in town is Goldburger, and where they distinguish themselves is in sourcing of ingredients. Their just quality of everything is really good. Their preparation is really good. But yeah, I don't know. Any ideas for fun smash burgers?
I mean, I feel like there are a million. You can just like the most straightforward like low hanging fruit seems to be to integrate some like ethnic flavors into it. I feel like there should be more like South Asian like flavors. You could do like you could do Caribbean. You could, like there's like name an ethnic cuisine. You could make a smash burger from it, just like you could make any other kind of burger from it. So I'm it's interesting that doesn't seem to have taken off. Maybe it's a little bit too niche. I don't know. I'm not sure how many people have tried it.
I feel like there's an appetite for it. For example, there's like this Mideast tacos place that just opened, right?
Yeah.
The people of Mini Kebab over in Silver Lake. And, that seems to be a huge hit. And when I think of ground meat, one thing that comes to mind is kofta, right? Like it's kind of like crazy. Like that would be a good one, like a kofta smash burger.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like literally my family growing up, whenever we had burgers at home, they were basically kebab burgers, right? Because the patty would always be flavored that way and they were so good. I think they're like Isa's favorite. Like when you have spices, onions, cilantro that are in the patty and make like a whole, and that's not even, we didn't do anything special with the toppings, but that alone added a whole different flavor profile. It's got to be low hanging fruit for someone to go try.
To be clear, I was talking about Lebanese kofta.
We don't.
Not your kofta.
We don't recognize that kofta here. I'm joking, Charbel. don't get mad. I will say, not to put my finger on the scale here, but I think between this list and the overall burger conversation, it's past time that the burger countdown hit. I hope the voters make the right decision this December, this fall.
I don't even know like what is another option. I think it's got to be burgers next year, right?
Was burger? I thought was burger even like in the runner up last year? I thought something else might have snuck in there.
I think burritos is always kind of perpetually in the conversation, like breakfast burritos. But I'm not doing a year of breakfast burritos. I'm saying that right now. On God.
Why would you limit it to breakfast burritos though? Why would it be only breakfast?
It's a good point. I feel like it should be burritos overall, but I think that there is such like a demand for breakfast burritos and they're sort of such like a niche popular item and there are so many of them out there that I think you could legitimately do a pretty good countdown of just breakfast burritos.
Sure.
But man, no, that's not going to happen. I think I'm going to do burgers and then we'll assess whether the countdown needs to live.
What? The countdown needs to live?
Yeah, the countdown will always live in some way, shape, or form, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, I hope so. But like whether it as a format of doing 100 things every year still needs to be the same.
Wait, this is a huge thought to just drop off. It's the whole fucking thing. It's why we respect you. It's because you eat 100 of a kind of thing. No, this is like, that's not up for conversation. You are locked in for life, my guy. I hope you realize this. Have you not spoken to your therapist about the reality that you must eat 100? That's the whole, that's the value proposition. So we're going to put that on the back burner. Maybe we revisit that at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like when we do a look back, look forward.
Yeah.
But the one thought I'll throw out there, and we do have to move on, maybe make it wraps. Because that kind of open, like wrap / burrito. I know wrap is like a lamer thing, but it's similar to noodles, right? Like noodles is noodles and pasta. Wraps could be like the wrap that we tried in person of the chicken Caesar wrap from Giada. And it could be burritos, and it just might be more diverse. Anyway.
Look, we'll save our content planning for a future podcast. I'm not sure that that's what the listeners...
I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said that.
All I'll say is we do more than just read Eater headlines and talk about Top Chef. We also plan our content into the future. So we do very exciting stuff on this podcast. Okay, speaking of television, which is one of our favorite topics.
Which is an Eater headline and television topic. But let's continue.
Look, I'm just saying, like, facts, bro. Facts. Chef's Table is coming back, okay? It's a great show. We all love it. One of the best TV shows. Why do I sound like Trump right now? It's one of the best TV shows out there, period. It's revolutionized the game in terms of food documentaries. However, this year, they are ripping off the LA Countdown in brazen fashion by releasing a noodles themed series. They're going to do 4 episodes or 5 episodes premiering on October 2nd. And the big news for Los Angeles is that it will feature Los Angeles based chef Evan Funke. So what was your reaction when you saw this?
Excitement. I'm looking forward to this. You called it in our agenda cruel for them to jack your noodles game, which of course we're joking about.
That is not why I called it cruel.
Oh, interesting. Because I was going to say this is fucking great news. Like this is, first of all, amazing content synergy. I actually have fallen off Chef's Table after maybe season 2. Like I like kind of got the format, but it's always there. It's like a in the back pocket, and especially when there's a chef of personal interest, I'll check it out. So I'm excited to see Evan, and also we should note that on November 27th they're doing a general Chef's Table season with Kwame from Top Chef.
That's exciting.
Of all people. Yeah, and I'm super excited to check that out. I don't know if I'll watch every single episode, but I was super excited to look, you are a tastemaker, bro. You are in the zeitgeist. Eating 100 noodles the year the Chef Table drops the noodle season. And I bet, didn't they drop their pizza season right around the time?
They dropped it.
You started?
No, they dropped it last year. So that would have been 2 years after I ate 100 pizzas. But I got to say, that's what got me back into Chef's Table, because I had definitely fallen off after like the first couple seasons.
Right.
But their pizza season was really good. I really liked, obviously, the Chris Bianco episode, which had Los Angeles pertinence. But they also had a great episode on Gabriele Bonci, this Roman pizza guy. And that one really hit home for me. This guy from Rome talking about Roman style pizza, and his story was particularly interesting.
Oh yeah.
Which brings me to why I find the Evan Funky one a little infuriating. And here's why, okay? I've obviously made my feelings about Evan Funky clear on this podcast, and I will say those feelings have been somewhat rectified over the last year after we visited Felix with friend of the pod, Brad Metzger. But also, I re-went to Mother Wolf recently for my noodle countdown, had their cacio pepe, and look, I respect what the man has built. I respect the man's craft 100%, right? My problem with Evan Funky being the person picked for Chef's Table is this man has had his shot before on TV, okay? In 2018, there was a Peacock documentary called Funky, which literally tells his whole story, brushing over some of the more difficult parts, I might add. But it told his whole story. It was all told there. Secondly, he also had, I don't know if you remember this, an 8-part show on Quibi. And I'm not saying that he's the reason why Quibi failed, but it couldn't have helped, okay? What I'm trying to say is this man has had his shot on TV. He's also had his story told. And I feel like one of the valuable things that Chef's Table does is elevate some of those lesser told stories. And there are some really, really great noodle stories to be told in Los Angeles, as I have found. Even if we just limit it to pasta, why not tell Avner Levy's story of Cento Pasta Bar? It's a great story. Also, Danielle Duran-Zicca of Amiga Amore, the Mexican-Italian fusion concept.
Right.
Amazing chef, amazing story there too. I just think there were some more interesting routes to go here, and I just think they phoned it in a little bit.
But I guess I see what you're saying. I will say, having your story told on Quibi and Peacock, it might as well have been told in a closet somewhere. I don't think a lot of people might have followed that. So, but also, I mean, I think Funky fits into like look, Chef's Table is only 4 episodes for this pasta thing. Like I think Funky has a similar sort of status and sort of celebrity mythology as like a Bianco, right? Back during the pizza thing. I think that's sort of the level they kind of look at for American chefs. And then when they go international, maybe like a lot of the international chefs they do are also really well established. Masali Imais is like a institution in Mexico City at this point. So look, I don't feel like this is cruel. I'm excited to learn more about Funky, man. Like, and by the way, like Kwame's had his story told on TV before as well. I mean, he's in a new phase of his career, but he's spent plenty of time on Top Chef. We've seen him tell his story a couple times, and that it's not quite, the singular focus, but I think it's not necessarily a bad thing to have Funky. I am particularly interested, I gotta say, given your changing and shifting opinion about him over time. I want to know the real.
Look, bring it on. If you can entertain me with a story about Evan Funky, even though maybe it's also the fact that, we live in Los Angeles and we've heard his story a bunch of times told by our food media and stuff. He's all over the place. He's kind of like, what Peyton Manning was to Indianapolis circa 2008, just face on every billboard. That's what Evan Funky is to LA's food scene, it seems. But bring it on, Netflix. If you can tell me something new about Evan Funky and make it entertaining, I'm all for it. I just think there were more interesting ways to go.
All right, fair enough. I mean, this is, I feel like, close to home in multiple ways for you, so it's a fair opinion for you to hold. I will say, as an outsider's point of view, which I bring valuably to this podcast as a voice that's not literally situated in LA, I think it's an exciting episode, and I'll be there.
Yeah, it's for outsiders like you, brother. Well, hey, next item on our list. It's a little bit getting into the political arena, but Governor Gavin Newsom's office recently published a press release stating that despite raising the minimum wage, fast food jobs in the state are actually on the rise.
I think it's like 11,000 new jobs in the 4 months since Newsom signed the minimum wage increase into law, and now they have 750,500 fast food jobs throughout the state, essentially suggesting or trying to message that, yes, just because an increased minimum wage was signed into law a few months ago, in those few months, we have not seen a collapse of the industry or of the job market in that sector.
This kind of flies in the face of the doom and gloom predictions we heard from fast food operators in the industry when the minimum wage law was passed. My question to you is, what's going on here?
I honestly, I don't think we know yet. I don't think policy evaluation can be done 4 months after a policy goes into law. I mean, I recently saw that Shake Shack is closing 8 locations or something in California. I don't think things move this quickly necessarily. I think this is a message. I mean, look, it's good news that 11,000 well-paying jobs. And I think, like, again, econ numbers are always weird. Like, so you never, like, you know, people will take their particular data point and use it. So I don't know what it means yet. I think it will take a couple of years for us to see the actual fallout from this policy. The one thing I will say is I think while I think a lot of the framing is, hey, minimum wage going up, that means jobs going down, and that may end up being true. We'll end up seeing. I also think that people seeing that there's a job out there for $20 minimum wage means that more people want to enter that job market. So there's like a variety of factors here, and we can go into further depth. But like, I think it's notable. I'm sure people who have other jobs that are not getting paid like at a $20 minimum wage might be looking over to the fast food industry and saying that there might be an opportunity there. So I don't know. We don't know yet. This is messaging. It's good that there hasn't been an immediate collapse, I suppose, but we won't know what all this means just yet.
Yeah, this is actually politics largely. Basically, like, what happened a couple months ago is that the industry and the union, or the interest group, released numbers suggesting that employment in the industry was actually down.
Mm-hmm.
However, those numbers were severely questioned based on a number of factors, including things like this sort of like well-established notion that like fast food jobs are somewhat seasonal, and therefore it's expected for them to go down in the first half of the year or something like that. And so I think what Governor Newsom's office is trying to do is like, okay, you can cherry pick your data, we can cherry pick ours too.
Yeah.
And show that, like, you know, the way we're seeing it, it's actually growth, and that minimum wage can actually lead to growth. I think time will tell, but basically I would just take both sides with a huge grain of salt for now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that seasonal argument works in the opposite direction if you're just grabbing numbers from the summer, right? So like, who knows? Yeah.
To be seen. Okay. Quick lightning round of bad idea, horrible idea. You got it in you?
I love it. Can't wait.
We got some good ones today, actually. Okay, this one made me chuckle. A Burger King in Germany was demoted to just burger after losing franchise rights. Basically what they did is it was like the shittiest Burger King ever in this place called Ingolstadt in Germany. And because it was so bad, Burger King like revoked its right to be a Burger King. And all they did was take down the king from the sign. And it's just called Burger. It looks exactly like a Burger King, but it's just called Burger. Bad idea, horrible idea, or kind of genius idea of sticking it to the man?
Well, this is not only a genius idea for sticking it to the man, it's genius marketing in the German market, I feel like. I feel like every German restaurant could just be schnitzel, doner, kebab. Like, yeah, like, look, my mom grew up, spent a chunk of her childhood in Switzerland. I like grew up with a lot of like German and German-speaking people. They like to be direct. I feel like a spot called Burger.
Yeah,
this could be a horrible idea by Burger King.
Yes,
you know, you don't want to be undercut in that German market by a place that just tells it how it is. That's what they like.
They'd be like, oh, the Burger King is highly subjective, but the burger, they tell me exactly what it is.
Jesus Christ, we're getting so canceled.
On to the next one. Taco Bell released the Baja Blast Gelato in celebration of their Baja Blast Mountain Dew flavor. Bad idea, horrible idea.
This one's horrible for me. I'm pretty simplistic when it comes to my gelato flavors, generally speaking. I've never had Baja Blast. I don't know the flavor of Baja Blast. I don't think I want it in the form of gelato. I don't know who would. I mean, like, think about this. The audience that drinks Baja Blast, is that the same people who are eating gelato?
No.
For some reason, I feel like no. Not to judge anyone in any direction. So I don't know who's asking for this.
I think a Baja Blast strain of meth would have been more appropriate, probably.
Jeez.
Okay, moving on to the next one. KTLA decided to do an entire story on whether California street vendor hot dogs are safe. I mean, is this a question that really needed to be answered? I think we all know the answer to this, but is this a bad idea or a horrible idea to dedicate an entire segment to this?
This is a fine idea. This is just local media. I'm sure like people going to Dodger games. I'm like, you're a parent with kids. Your kid is hungry. You might want to know, hey, can I swing by this stand right here and get my kid a hot? I think this is a completely fair story, and like it was actually a decently well done with fair perspectives on like the issue, the question of yes or no. Basically, it's a calculated risk, and sure we might have all known that, but I feel like people must ask this question of themselves. I thought it was a completely fine idea. There's no issue with this.
All right, final one. Capri Sun is rumored to be considering switching its iconic pouches for bottles. Bad idea, horrible idea.
Disgusting. I'm disgusted by this. I don't know. I didn't read this article because I try to go in fresh for bad idea, horrible idea. I don't know if it's for environmental reasons or something, but this is the thing you got going. Like, don't do this.
Capri Sun without pouches is just like horrible fruit juice.
Shitty juice. Like you cannot compete in the bottled market, Capri Sun. Know your lane. You got pouches on lock.
Yeah.
Don't go bottles. I'm gonna have my Gatorade and vitamin water. It's better than your product.
Yeah.
Stay in the pouch lane. Have that as your competitive advantage.
How do you pronounce it? The company's name?
Capri Sun.
Well, I grew up in England and it was pronounced Capri Sun there.
Yeah, that's not right. That's that's also a horrible idea. I'm disgusted by that as well.
Capri Suns, don't do it, Capri Sun. Okay, shitty Yelp review of the week. You got one?
Oh, I got one. Yeah, it's not too bad, but it's a actually I should wait and see. Context. Emily and I have been together for 3 years, a little over 3 years. I think that's right. Wow,
Congratulations.
That's nuts. Yeah, they're just this summer. So, like generally speaking, Emily is like, not generally speaking, like Emily is literally like a very like fit person. She is like banging bod. She's like works out like consistently, takes care of herself. Like, in my opinion, not to be too, like, I don't know, horny on main. I'm not being horny, just to be clear. I just didn't know the right word. This is not, but she's like perfect body, right? And I co-host a food podcast, meaning I'm eating, bro. I'm like a lunk. Every time we go to an escape room, I have this moment where I'm like, these people are looking at me and this girl being like, how did this load of a man lock her down? How do you get her to an escape room, right?
He's either extremely wealthy or very funny.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not being that funny in escape rooms. So you know what? And like we're crawling and shit or climbing. I'm like huffing and puffing. Anyways, it's something I'm aware of, right? So recently your boy's been hitting the gym a little bit more than he has in a long time.
I've seen some definition in those arms.
Oh yeah, baby. Actually, full disclosure, I've been trying to work out before our pods. So literally I hit the gym earlier today. Like I ran to the gym before, so you get a little bit, even subconsciously, feel a little bit of the bulk coming in.
You know this is an audio podcast, right?
You do video clips, man. Ever since the video clips started happening, I'm like, literally before we potted in person, I went to the gym that morning and was a little disappointed you didn't say anything about my arms. So I worked them out. Not kidding. Because I'm feeling good, man. I'm like finally, I feel like I'm catching up to like the physical hotness of my girlfriend slowly but steadily. And so people can walk down the street and be like, that's a good match, not how much is he paying her, right? That's the goal. and so, you know, it's like I said, it's going well. And it's a pretty natural thing, I think, for guys. It was like a stereotype when guys start getting healthy and working out, their bodies change really fast, right? Like, you know, I think the joke is like a guy like drinks water once and hits the gym and has a six pack, and like whereas girls have to like try way harder and work out way more. Emily, we basically had an exchange that was like that, where Emily's like, so unfair that like your body gets to change so quickly, and I said verbatim, well, your body doesn't have to change that much. And she was immediately like, that much? And it was just a verbal tick. I haven't told Emily this, but like in my head, I was trying to keep space for like, everyone has personal physical goals. And I wanted to like respect those. And so if she has things she's trying to improve on, I wanted to like recognize that they're like, you know, that might be a reality. / it was just like a, you know, like a one-off, like, oh yeah, that much. Just like just a thing you say. And it was immediately like, it wasn't an issue. It was, we like laugh it off immediately, but it's just a really funny exchange that I was like, wow, I got to be like a little bit more aware as I'm talking because I like accidentally negged my girlfriend who very much does not need any negging in that department.
That's like definitely a 1-star because it just shows like a stunning lack of awareness on your part. It reminds me of like when your partner asks you like what you'd rate them out of 10, you know, because like people are like, oh, what am I? Am I a 10? Am I a 9 or whatever? And some guys like they get really tripped up on that because they don't want to be perceived as like lying, right? So they're like, yeah, baby, you're like an 8.5. You know, you want to make it like realistic. But dude, that's like the worst thing you could possibly do.
So anyway, that one's mine, and it was a bit of a funny one.
Yeah, that's good. No, I think I front loaded mine with the Mr. Brightside coded karaoke that we did last night at a country karaoke, no less.
Oh my God.
Just typical, like, you know, white guy behavior. So I'm not proud of it.
Yeah. Your wife has gone through many a karaoke night. Like if she's a real trooper, somehow dodging the ick from you at each time you do one of these things. But yeah, that's a fair one. To be clear, I would give that 0.5 star because I would never go with you to watch you sing Mr. Brightside to your wife. Like, has there ever been like that's such a the concept of cucked on like levels unheard of.
The worst part is she wasn't even there, bro. She had left already. She got tired.
Okay, wait, that's a bit of a like redeeming quality. Though you were at one point singing into a camera, which of course is how we have like recorded evidence of this. That to me, just picturing you on stage, drunk at cowboy karaoke, singing into a camera like an influencer, I've never loathed you more. That's why I couldn't watch it.
It sounds like if you got to that part of the video, you watched it all.
Not with sound on. Let me put it, I guess that's fair. Yeah, now I actually literally as soon as that, because I was like intrigued by cowboy karaoke and like the vibe of the place. Then you hit with a microphone in your hand, look in the camera, and I was like, swipe, forget it.
I would love to see like the stats on that video and if that's where everybody tuned out, you know? Anyways, well, this really devolved. Speaking of, how do you feel about Top Chef Colorado season?
A very solid season. Not my favorite, I will say, not overall. However, I have no reason to say that. I'm just doing the bit where I talk a little shit. Joe Sasto was a standout. Joe Flam. Oh, and actually, I'm going to change my thing because Pakistani chef on Fatima, I think, who very sadly passed, but very cool to see that representation on. And yeah, a lot of good personalities on that season.
And Chef Fatima's book, by the way, in case you haven't read it, I think it's called Taste or something like that. But that is an absolutely phenomenal book. Highly recommend it to anybody who hasn't read it. But yeah, dude, that's who we have on the podcast today, Chef Joe Sasto. Can you believe it?
I can't. I honestly can't. This is like we need to like again have a proper look back on this year because what a guest! I'm so excited he came on. Sasto is super fucking cool. Yeah, I think he's friends with Shota here in Seattle. Another one of my Top Chef favorites. The closer we get to Top Chef, the happier I get. So what a pull, and I can't wait to listen to this, man.
It's one of my favorite interviews we've ever done, and it's coming up right after the break.
Nice.
Dear listener, my wife recently decided to start eating meat after more than 15 years of being a vegetarian, and being the conscientious consumer that I am, I've been looking for ways to make our household's meat consumption as high quality and sustainable as possible. That's why I'm absolutely thrilled to have found First Light Farms, a small collective of passionate family farmers in New Zealand who are quietly changing the world. Not only are they producing the most tender, rich, and succulent Wagyu beef money can buy, but you can rest assured that First Light's cattle were raised as nature intended, living it up on lush pasture, eating a 100% grass diet with absolutely no grains, no animal byproducts, and no feedlots. The result is the best tasting meat in the game, full of natural marbling and packed with omega-3 fats. If you've ever enjoyed a meal at Ma2 in Beverly Hills, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Ma2 famously sources all of its meat directly from First Light, and the good news is that you too can have First Light Farms meats delivered straight to your door. All you have to do is visit www.firstlight.farm, where you can buy their meats and also sign up for their members-only steak club. Members of the steak club enjoy tons of benefits, including monthly shipments of steaks, access to the highest marble score meats, and, this is my favorite part, access to First Light's full library of proprietary recipes and techniques. Also, you can cook the perfect steak within the comfort of your own home. Buying good steak isn't easy and it isn't cheap. First Light delivers the highest quality at an incredible deal, and now that I've seen the light, I'm never going back. Visit www.firstlight.farm to learn more and use the code LAFood10 for a 10% discount on your first order. I am so stoked because today on the LA Food Podcast, we are joined by none other than Chef Joe Sasto. Chef, how you doing today?
I am fantastic today. How are you doing?
Dude, you know, it's crazy. Like, people don't really ask me that on this podcast, but I'm actually doing great, and even better, we're on a super comfortable couch today, and that makes everything better, wouldn't you say?
And in this dope-ass recording studio, like, I was not expecting to walk into this. I film podcasts every which in different location.
Yeah.
This might be one of the coolest locations I've filmed a podcast in.
Well, welcome to the LA Food Podcast. We don't fuck around here.
I'm into it.
I also like there's like a slight hint of the ganj in the background. Do you guys smell that?
No,
Oh, wow.
But I left mine in the car. I should have brought it in.
I think you probably would have been totally fine. Hey, Chef, there's an icebreaker question we always ask on this podcast, and that is this. What did you have for lunch today?
God, I wish I could have said the Le Coupe fried chicken sandwich, because that's what was on my docket. But because I came right from doing a morning show, I have not had lunch yet.
That's insane. It's like almost like 1:30 p.m.
Don't get me started. I've eaten a whole lot of Tantos, a handful of cheese, and a little bit of salami.
So
call it a chef's lunch.
A chef's lunch. A plowman's, what my father-in-law would call it. A plowman's lunch, but featuring Tantos. Well, look, you mentioned Tantos, so let's start there. What the hell are Tantos?
Tantos are my baby. They are the first and only original puff pasta chip.
Wow.
When I say puff pasta, I mean exactly that. They're pasta puffed in snacking form. You got cacio e pepe, marinara, pesto, classico, sea salt, and olive oil. Now, you haven't tried them yet.
No, I have not.
So I want to get a live reaction of you cracking a bag. Choose your favorite over here. I brought them all for you to try.
Okay, I'm from Rome, Chef, so I gotta go cacio e
You
pepe.
got to go cacio.
You know? Okay, here we
You're
go.
from Rome or your family's from Rome?
I am from Rome. I actually grew up in Switzerland and England, but I lived in Rome cumulatively about 4 years.
I hear no accent.
I know. I went to American school, unfortunately, so where my non-existent Italian accent didn't help me, attract any women when I moved here.
Wow.
But yeah, that is the truth. I can still speak it though.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I could read like a menu in Italian.
Okay, that's pretty
That's
good.
like my extent. I could like get by in Italy. I could order food. That's about it.
That's pretty good, though.
Rome is probably my favorite city in the world.
Why is that? I feel like a lot of people have very strong reactions to Rome.
Because it's like, I feel like it's the perfect blend of old world and new world.
Uh-huh.
Like, it has all the luxuries of like the modern world, but then you're looking around, it's like you're driving by like a couple 1,000-year-old buildings and coliseums and like all this craziness. The streets are still like cobblestone and paved in all these like old ancient rocks sticking out of the ground.
Yeah.
Fountains coming out of the walls, and you don't see that anywhere else really in the world. But then you still have like cars and electricity and all like the modern things that you're looking for in a regular modern metropolis. And I feel like Rome has the best of all of that, plus delicious food.
Yeah, although with food, you get a lot of tourist traps in Rome. Do you have like any tips and tricks to avoid the tourist traps?
I have the ultimate how to avoid, because I'm a big gelato person.
Okay.
Like sweet treats, one of my favorite things. And a lot of people they don't realize when you're going and trying to find where to eat gelato, you don't want the spot that has the big, colorful, beautiful displays of gelato.
It's so true.
If you see all of those like beautiful like colors and fruits and things and decorations, run for the hills. What you want is to not see any gelato. They should be in like these like ceramic or steel like metal urns, kind of like below the counter where they take a little lid off. They scoop from the inside, put the lid back on. You don't ever see the gelato. Because if it's sitting out and it's not melting, think about that.
Problems.
There's stabilizers, there's additives. It's not the right temperature to be eaten. That's not the gelato that you want. You want the gelato that you can't see.
Yeah, that's like one of the best tips I've heard. There's actually a great Roman gelateria here in Altadena called Bulgarini. And the guy was telling me, Leo is his name, the story of how in Italy, all those gelato places that you see and they say artisanal gelato, they use all the same semi like prepared
powder packets.
That's what it is.
Powdered packets.
They all use the same ones, and they all taste the same.
Yep.
So really, you've got to be looking for that, because that's the guarantee that they're not using those powder packets.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's something like magical about that like proper temperature of gelato.
Yeah.
Where it's like creamy and luscious and still frozen, but it's so easy to just swoop and swipe with the little spoon that I give you. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I feel like there's something different about the dairy in Italy.
It hits different.
Where I could eat gelato after every meal when I'm there.
Yeah.
I can't do that here
No.
in the US.
There are stories of people who are lactose intolerant who go to Italy and are just like totally fine.
I think there's a lot to dig and unpack in that statement. But yes, I agree.
Good. We're not trying to like spread any conspiracy theories here by any means. Okay, look, I'm about to dig into the Cacio e Pepe Tantos chips. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you guys came up with this product?
So, I mean, like all good things in life, Tantos was a happy accident. It started when I was working in a restaurant, and a combination of my two favorite food groups. I wish everybody could see his eyebrows, the way they raised when he just ate his first Tanto experience.
Oh my God. Okay. Let me react real quick, if I may. So, yes, eyebrows raised based on texture alone. Because, you know what it did? It split the difference between the regular Cheeto and the crunchy Cheeto.
Yeah,
and
okay.
like, I feel like nobody has that perfect chip, which is like, sometimes you want the crunchy ones, sometimes you want the puffs. This kind of gives you both. But then, the reason I made that exclamation is at the end, on this Cacio e Pepe flavor, that pepper hits you.
Taste the pepper.
In a beautiful way, and that's the key to any good Cacio e Pepe.
And that's what I think a lot of people say. They don't expect to actually taste the pepper on a pepper chip. Because I think most spicy chips or chips that have that little bit of kick nowadays is like crushed red pepper or some sort of chili flake, where we're using real black peppercorns.
This is cruel because you've given me such a loud snack to eat during the podcast, so I'm going to have to save it for later. But it's absolutely incredible. Can I ask you, Chef, this seems like an absolutely genius idea. Why has nobody done this before?
I would think for a number of reasons. When you look at like the CPG space, like the products that you buy as a consumer, or the people, hot sauces, candies, chips, olive oils, chili crunches, all those things, all those kind of categories exist. And if you want to make your own chili crunch, or you want to make your own hot sauce, you go approach a company that makes sauces, or approach a company that makes condiments, and you give them your recipe. They put it together and they slap your label on it, and it's a pretty straightforward, streamlined process.
Yeah.
But if you want to go and make something original and unique, like puffing pasta, that doesn't exist. There's not a company out there that's creating puffed pasta. So that road of convincing distributors, convincing co-packers, convincing manufacturers to give us a try, to take us on, and to develop that whole process of turning wheat and water, the fundamentals of pasta, into a puffed chip has never been done before.
What does it require? Is it just like a new manufacturing process, or is there like additional machinery that they need to invest in?
So we originally thought we were going to have to go that additional machinery route, which would have cost multi-million-dollar raise on our end, which was something we kind of like made our eyes go really wide on. But we kind of got lucky because as we're eating it, and the process that like we originally were using to make it was very similar to a chicharron.
Okay.
And so we kind of went down that road of exploring chicharron manufacturers and how chicharrones are made at a commercial level. And we ended up kind of getting in that chicharron market. And just how chicharron's made from pork skin, these are made from flour and water, but through that same process.
Interesting. So what you're giving us are basically pasta chicharrones.
Plant-based chicharrones.
That's low-key genius. And actually, that is the textural description I was looking for. Because it has that chicharron, like, it's got the crunch, but it's also got the slight chewiness to it.
It melts in your mouth. It has that nice crunchiness to it. They're these beautiful little scoops. They don't break apart. You could fill them with things. I mean, kids love them. My partner, Sean, his daughter calls them Tantos eggies.
Yeah.
And she wants scrambled eggs in the pesto every morning as little cups.
That's wild. Sean is here and he just nodded. He's like, I've made a few of those before. Have you seen the viral like TikTok video of the chicharron with the guacamole?
Yes.
Have you tried that with
I
us?
have tried. I went to Vallarta Market. I got the chicharron. I got the guac.
Okay.
Yes, these are my baby. Chicharrones are probably like right up at their like my favorite chip to eat. Like creating this pasta plus nachos equals Tantos. And that's right up there with chicharrones for me.
Dude, I absolutely love it. You know, I always joke about this, but people can foresee what I will be getting my loved ones for the holidays based on this podcast, because now they're just going to be getting boxes of Tantos for the holidays.
I love that. What a great idea.
Yeah, why not? Look, this obviously makes sense for you because you're known as the pasta guy. So I want to talk a little bit about how you became the pasta guy.
Oof.
The origin story.
Depends how far back you want to go and how much time you have.
I have unlimited time. Honestly, I could sleep on this couch.
I grew up in an Italian-American household. So, obviously, pasta, food, eating, Sunday supper, all those things were, something that I was used to. And, obviously, my mom, she made dried pasta multiple times a week.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like, pasta again, Mom? I hate this. I don't want this. Don't let me look at pasta. I don't want it. I would do anything for tacos as a kid.
Wow.
I wanted Mexican food. That was my craving as a child. And then I got into cooking, fell in love with it, and I never set out to become a pasta chef or learn Italian cooking. I was enamored and in love with fine dining. I love that idea of tweezer food and perfection and that pursuit of perfection that you're always chasing it, but you can never really find it.
What about that? How did you get that bug?
I think it just came from starting at the opposite end, working very high volume restaurants. And so seeing everything not done perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think having that little bit of that perfectionist in me, that ADD or ADHD, ADD, wanted to put
Maybe
together
both.
some letters of the alphabet. And that desire to oh no, this has to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, it kind of makes me twitch a little bit. And so I worked in restaurants that you're doing 500 plates. Some of them are not going to be perfect, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to work in places where we were only going to do 80 plates, and every one of them were perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of set me down that path of Michelin star cooking, Michelin star kitchens, and this pursuit of perfection and very fine dining. And I found myself at a restaurant in San Francisco called Quince.
Of course.
They had 1 star at the time. And I just went there, like I said, to learn tweezer food, to learn French cooking, not really knowing that they were known for pasta and Italian food. Mm-hmm. It was just the kitchen that all my friends told me not to work at because of how hard of a reputation they had.
Just because it was such high...
Grueling.
Yeah, it was your typical Michelin,
yes. And it was everyone said, don't work there, you'll hate it. And I was like, that's where I want to work. That's
so
where I want
that
to
guy.
train.
Yeah, you're that guy.
And so I did, and then through my time of working there, it was one of those nights where things were going wrong in the kitchen, someone did something wrong, and they were not working their station anymore. And I got put on the pasta station.
Wow.
Just very serendipitous of being in the right place at the right time. And through that process, then now I came responsible for all of the pasta that we were serving in the restaurant. And it's something I fell in love with. I was like, I love this. I love the process of making something from nothing. Mm-hmm. And then once you kind of have that moment, that light bulb moment, that exclamation moment in your head, when you have well done, properly done, fresh pasta, nothing really compares.
It's hard to go back.
And pasta is one of those mediums to me where it's nostalgic in the sense that we all know it. We've all had it. We all have some memory to it, even if it's that blue box of mac and cheese.
Yeah. I thought you meant... See, I'm from Italy, so when you say
Barilla.
blue box, I was like, Barilla.
No. The Kraft blue box.
Yeah.
That, we all grew up with at some point. Even that, we have that nostalgic memory tied to pasta. So, for me, pasta became this, vehicle, this medium that I could, express myself through food and tie in, ingredients from California and things that I was seeing at the farmer's market. And, pasta was that, vehicle for me.
Yeah.
And then when I had the opportunity to go on Top Chef...
Oh, we're going to get there, don't worry. But first, I want to know, we all make pasta, but I'm assuming it hits a little bit different when you're making pasta at a Michelin caliber restaurant. What is that process like of running a pasta program at a restaurant like Quince?
It was the situation where we had an AM production pasta team. A group of guys that had been there and been with Chef Tusk for years and years and years, and they knew all of his methods, and he had trained them, and they were the legit pasta guys in the morning, but they only worked 6 to 2 or 7 to 3, and they had a hard out. If enough prep didn't get done, they were leaving. It didn't matter. They didn't care. They didn't have to stick around. They had another job to go to, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that was not their problem. And so working at night on your station, you maybe you request 300 tortelloni, but they only got 200 done.
Yeah.
that doesn't mean 100 pieces go missing.
Yeah.
They still need to be there for service.
Yeah.
And so whoever's the pasta, that's their responsibility. So then I would come in early, I would stay late, working with them, learning how they did it. And I didn't speak Spanish very well. They didn't speak English very well. But pasta became like this common language that we both shared.
Yeah.
Touching the dough, feeling the dough, seeing how much it needed to be kneaded, seeing how it had to be sheeted, seeing that texture on it, that pasta revita, that leathering on the dough, all those little details that we didn't translate in words, but we translated in touch and in sight. And so being able to see that and learn from them, it became this like thing that I was just obsessed with, wanting to learn more, wanting to immerse myself in it. And, you know, at the time, there were a lot of rules about Italian cooking at this restaurant.
At the time, there's rules in Italian cooking.
There's rules in Italian cooking. And it was something that I, as a chef and as a creative, struggled with. And Tusk did not sway on these rules. So, you know, certain shapes had to go with certain fillings, certain cheeses had to go with certain shapes, certain sauces went with certain shapes, just like you'd find in Italy.
Yeah.
You don't serve a northern Italian cheese with a southern Italian pasta shape.
Yes. Yeah, or like fish and cheese and all these kinds of...
And so I learned through a lot of different interactions that, you know, the right and wrong ways, per se, of how to do it. And so all I wanted to do as I continued to grow was to break all of these rules now that I knew them.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, orecchiette, yes, this comes from the South, but that would go really good with this, like, northern Italian cheese.
Yeah.
And that sharp kind of smokiness that it has. And I was like, I'm going to put them together.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like where my own creative twist on a lot of these, like, Italian classics were going, because it's like, yes, I learned all these rules, but now I just want to break them.
If there's one pasta shape that gives you nightmares based on your life at Quince, which is it?
The origin story of the tattoo, Fatto Umano. So, like, Tusk came back from Italy, and he spent time in Bologna at the escuelas, the schools for pasta.
With all the grandmas.
And the pink aprons and smocks and gowns, and learned how to make tortellini by hand. The dough was kneaded by hand, the fillings made by hand, shaped by hand, rolled out, stretched by hand, no machines in the entire process.
Yeah.
He came back, he was like, we're putting that on the menu. And so he taught me how to do it. I was like the pasta chef at the time. And I was like, okay, we got this. And he's like, no, like, here's a mozzarella. You're going to learn how to use the mozzarella, which is like the giant rolling pin. And tortellini was my only dish I was responsible for, which doesn't sound like a lot. But it was 18 pieces of tortellini per order.
Yeah.
We did 80 to 100 covers a night. Yeah. Everybody got it because it was a tasting menu. So that's like 1,800 pieces of tortellini I needed per day. And I couldn't use a machine to make the dough, to knead the dough, to roll the dough. And all I would do, I'd come in, I'd take my pasta board and my rolling pin out to the dining room, set it up, 7 hours straight, roll out sfoglias, cut tortellini, bring inside, make a batch of fonduta to serve with it. And that was my day. Sometimes I'd stay late if we sold a lot of extra tortellini that day.
Yeah. And there was
get started for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I did that for a good 6-8 months straight.
So do you see tortellini in your nightmares?
And no, tortellini was the shape that I realized I had a passion for pasta. Because it didn't drive me away from it.
Ooh, that's key. That's key. If you can do something that much and to that intensity and you want to do more of it, then you got to wonder, maybe I'm into this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where that light bulb moment clicked.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like, there's something about this that I love. I could really just keep doing this. I want to do this. And it was, like, very cathartic. You know, you're in your head. This kitchen's silent. The dining room's silent. We're not listening to music. We're not talking chit-chatting. You're, like, it's you, yourself, and the pasta.
No music?
This is a very different time in kitchens, okay?
Yeah. That's wild, dude. I can't even like go for a walk without some sort of stimulation in my ears. So I can't even imagine. A lot of people watching this, listening to this, are consumers. So they go out to restaurants and they eat fancy pasta. But most of us, we have pasta at like a neighborhood restaurant or pasta at a Michelin star restaurant, and hard to tell the difference for some of us. What should we be looking for when we're really trying to assess what is excellent pasta?
A lot of it has to do with texture. And I think for me, what I'm often looking for is that marriage of the noodle and the sauce. So I often look at it like pasta is the combination of noodle and sauce. It's not like choose your pasta, choose your sauce. Hey, we're at Olive Garden. Put it on top. You don't get pasta unless you properly manipulate the noodle and that sauce, that condiment together.
Yeah.
To then create that holy matrimony.
That's beautiful. It's like pasta's a verb, not a noun. Is that kind of what we're talking about here?
Yeah, it's that bringing together.
Yeah.
That coming together is one, where you have that sauce, that condiment kind of gripping and marrying into all of the noodles. It's not pooling down at the bottom of the bowl.
Yeah.
It's not dried, but it's clinging on to every little bit. You have just enough kind of like seeping off of each little individual piece. And it's like all those little details like what I'm looking for. Because it's like anywhere should be able to season food well. It should taste seasoned. The water should be like properly salted. You know, all those things. It should taste good. If you're really trying to break down good from great, it's that texture, that marriage, that way that the noodle and the sauce comes together that really separates that next level of pasta cookery.
Yeah, dude, this is going to have to come with an NSFW warning the way you just talked about pasta, bro. Speaking of going from good to great, you know, you were at Quince when you went from 1 Michelin star up to 3 Michelin stars, right?
I left when we got our 3rd star.
That's like, you're like 3, I'm out. What is that process like of gaining more stars at a place like Quince? Like, what distinguishes the 1-star kitchen from the 3-star?
I think the difference between the 1 and the 2 is often the level of food and the plateware, and kind of like that, like the level of food, the type of ingredients, the approach to the technique, the consistency, kind of like that idea of like perfect execution every time.
Yeah.
Like 1 star doesn't necessarily need to be perfect every time, I'd say. It just needs to be delicious and unique.
Yeah.
Because there's street vendors and streetcar. It's like, it's not like beautiful plates of food, but it's fucking delicious.
Yeah. Like a taqueria in Mexico just got the 1 star. Right.
Exactly. So like, but then you get to 2-star. Now you're talking about the way that the food looks, the way the dining room is, the way the service is, the way the hospitality is, all these like kind of like nuances that as a diner, maybe you don't necessarily notice that it's happening, but you notice if it didn't happen.
Yeah.
This like level of anticipation.
Yeah. That's cool.
The servers are pulling out your chair. They're leading your way to the bathrooms. They know that's why you got up. They're holding doors open for you. Like all these little things that you don't really notice that you never have to think about your water being refilled.
Yeah.
They keep track of you as a guest. You come back, you ordered sparkling water once. Every time you go back, they'll already have sparkling water on the table for you.
It's like the elves in Harry Potter. You know?
Yes.
It's the experiential factor.
The experiential factor. Then 3-star is really you start to like differentiate yourself. Maybe you have a farm that's just yours. You're growing your own vegetables. You're sourcing your own cheeses. You have your own ranchers. You're making your own pottery or plateware. You're sourcing your own plates.
Yeah.
Really, really kind of like one of a kind.
Yes.
Sort of experiences.
Yeah.
From the top down. The linens might be handmade and all these little things that can only happen at this restaurant. Because of that level of detail that they've kind of like put into the process. I think that's kind of like where then you start to get into the 3-star world.
Yeah, that's like the Portlandia level of detail. Basically. Yes. Good to know. That's really well put, actually. So now we'll never have any questions like that again for future guests. So thank you, Chef.
Breaking it down.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a pretty good gig over at Quince. Why did you decide to jump ship and go over to Lazy Bear?
I don't want to say I was poached. To go over there, but it was a unique opportunity where Lazy Bear was kind of up and coming. It was this fine dining dinner party. They were starting to get a reputation in the city for having fun and kind of being rebels and kind of breaking all those like fine dining norms that everybody was used to of like fancy white tablecloths and silent kitchens. Like they're over there playing rock music and telling like dirty jokes and kind of like doing all the things that like we've always thought you're not supposed to do in Michelin star cooking. And I love the idea of like all the food they were doing was really unique. It was still driven by the farmers and the ingredients and all the things in California. And it was just a totally different vibe and environment. And so I got to go spend some time there. I staged, I hung out, I did a tasting. Then I got offered the position as executive sous chef over there. And that was, I think, right after they got their first star. That first year after I came on, we got our second star. And that was kind of like that aha moment to the whole city.
Yeah.
That like, hey, look at these guys over here. You don't have to do things the way they've always been done. Mm-hmm. There's more than one way to do things. And the Michelin Guide recognized that.
That's cool. Because you just said, like, it's that experiential factor, but there was sort of like a very cookie-cutter vision of what that looked like before.
Yes.
And Lazy Bear's like, well, hey, what if it looked like this?
And everybody thought we were crazy. Mm-hmm. And we might have been. But it all worked out.
Speaking of crazy, I understand that it was at Lazy Bear when you got approached by a little show called Top Chef.
That's right. And that was totally unintentional. It was not something I ever set out to do. I wasn't like looking to do social media or do media in general or go on TV. It had a very different kind of connotation to it.
This was what year again?
This was 2017.
Yeah. So it wasn't quite the show it is today.
No, not at all. And before that season, it had this reputation of like almost like Real World-esque, like drama, chefs living in a house, a reality show. And two casting producers came into dinner. And we're sitting right next to the kitchen, and I was interacting with them all night. I didn't know who they were. I thought they were just two guests, and I'm laughing and joking and serving them the food, cooking for them, telling them about all the dishes and everything. And they left and called the restaurant the next day and said, "Hey, we want to have Joe on the show. Will he come interview with us?" And I said, "Absolutely not. I'm a real chef. I don't do TV." Was my answer and mindset. They called back a few more times and they were like, "No, we really think Joe should interview. This is a great opportunity for him. Like, please, will he hear us out?" And finally, thank goodness, I did. And like, I took that leap of faith. I did the interview and I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. Next thing I knew, I'm flying to Colorado. I'm in Denver and I'm filming a show. And I couldn't have been more wrong about the process. It was about the food. It was not about the drama. It was like real cooking. And real challenges and real chefs, and just it was such a good learning experience. And then just a springboard for the whole rest of my career.
Well, Chef, you might not know this, but we are massive Top Chef fans on this podcast.
I did not know that.
We actually do like fantasy Top Chef. My pod co-host owes me a dinner of Vespertine because he lost fantasy Top Chef.
That's that pushing 3-star experience.
Yes,
Vespertine.
Exactly. That's the stakes that we put on our Top Chef experience. Okay, so I have a few more specific Top Chef questions for you based on your season.
Oh yeah, let's get into that.
I remember on this season in Colorado, you pulled out the casoncelli for Tom Colicchio, the pasta shape, a very kind of niche pasta shape. What was that experience of serving pasta like to Tom Colicchio?
The way you say it now sounds very crazy and like a huge leap of faith and kind of like it's almost like serving risotto. Why would you do something so
insane
wild?
Thing to do.
And for me at the time, I had spent so much time in the world of pasta. It was one of the few things that I felt so comfortable and confident with. And so I was like, well, they're asking us to cook our food, to put our voice and our soul on a plate. How better can I do that than use Colorado ingredients, Colorado lamb, whatever the vegetables we had access to, and use pasta as that vehicle. And casoncelli is just one of my favorite shapes to make. You have that little divot in there to kind of like holds the sauce, and it's a beautiful shape. You kind of get all those different contrasting textures from like the multiple different folds and pinch points. And so for me, it was just like, okay, here we go. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I think that then set me down, that solidified this pasta path for me.
Yeah.
Because I think I made pasta on the show 3 times, and I might have won all 3 of those challenges.
3 times, yeah, I counted. You made it twice after that. But casoncelli, it's like starting a regular gymnast, not that you were a regular chef, but starting with like a Simone Biles level vault. It's like that technical, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those shapes you can mess up, because if you roll it too thick, it becomes very chewy.
Yeah. And
if you cook it too long, it becomes very chewy. Or you undercook it and don't cook it long enough, it's very chewy. And so, yeah, I mean, when you break it down, it's interesting to think back on Top Chef, because it's like they put you in these situations to figure out who you are as a chef.
Yeah.
And the time constraints and the challenge constraints really force you to do that, because you can't do everything you'd want to do normally.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to peel everything back and do just the number of things that matter the most to you that you have time for.
Yeah.
And I think that helped you really figure out who you are as like a chef, as a cook, as a person, as a leader.
Yeah.
And like that's the side of Top Chef that like not a lot of people even realize is happening to us through that whole challenge process.
Well, especially for you as a self-described perfectionist, it must have been pretty hard to peel those layers back.
It was very hard. You can notice the first half of the season, I barely got by.
Yeah.
I was having a really tough time.
Yeah.
Kind of figuring that out. And I think part of it had to do with I had always been like the number 2 in charge of a kitchen or the number 3 in charge of a kitchen. I was never like the number 1 calling the ultimate shots yet.
Yeah.
And so I always had like someone else to kind of like bounce ideas off of or to get a little bit of like constructive or critical feedback from.
Yeah.
And then now you're on a cooking competition and you're the only person that could edit yourself and to give yourself critiques and criticisms. And so figuring that out was part of my challenge.
Yeah.
Leading up to that, I hadn't been an executive chef yet. And here I am competing against all these other restaurant owners and executive chefs. And so like that definitely threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
The first half of the season.
Yeah. What did you learn about yourself through that process?
Well, I learned, I think, like we kind of touched on before, that idea of I had all of these rules and these techniques and things that I knew how to do, and now I just wanted to like break all of those rules.
Yeah.
Do things my own way. Don't do them ways that I've been taught before. Don't repeat things that I had seen others do. Figure out my way to do everything, and kind of have the confidence to do them that way. I think one of the most, the biggest turning points of the season for me were one of the judges were judging me on a challenge, and he didn't know me from, last Tuesday or anything. And he goes, like watching you cook and eating your food, it's very obvious that you spend a lot of time in really good restaurants and you have this huge bag of tricks that you're carrying on your shoulder. And the challenge for you is figuring out when to pull out what tricks.
Yeah.
And what tricks to let go. And you just want to show everybody all the tricks you can do, but you don't need to. And so it's like that idea of like peeling things back, editing yourself, and not doing it all just because you know how to do it all.
Yeah. It reminds me of like one of the big themes in season 3 of The Bear, which has been like reduce, get to the essence.
Get to the essence.
You had to learn how to do that.
Yeah. And it's, it's interesting now, like as a judge, when I'm judging Chopped or I'm judging Guys Grocery Games or whatever show I'm judging, I'll see these younger cooks.
Yeah.
In that same situation that I had been in.
Yeah.
Well, they'll try to do a whole bunch of techniques because like they've seen their chef do it or they learned how to do it and they think it's so cool.
Yeah.
And it is, but there's no reason you need to do 5 different interpretations of a carrot in a 30-minute cooking competition.
Yeah.
Just do one really good one.
Yeah. Well, look, you were in Colorado and you had one of the most memorable challenges of all time, which was having to deal with Rocky Mountain oysters. How did you approach the ballsy challenge of dealing with Rocky Mountain oysters?
When in doubt, fry it. I think that applies to almost anything. And what did I do? I grabbed some cornflakes. I made like a 3-compartment breading station and treated them like, fried chicken.
Yeah. You kind of, or like, veal parm or something.
Yeah.
You kind of went back to your
went
Italian
back to my
American
chicken parm, veal. I think I did like a veal schnitzel sort of situation with those guys. And I still remember the Voltaggios were the judges.
Yeah.
The Voltaggios ate my balls and they loved it. I won.
Not too many people could say that. I don't think.
Not too many people could say that.
You're part of a select few people in the world who probably say that. Now I have to ask you, because you were eliminated. Sorry to bring back painful memories, but right before the finale, and for folks who don't know how the show works, which is not a lot of people who are listening to this particular podcast, but you only get to make that final meal, the one that's like cook the best meal of your life, if you're in the final 2, and you made it to the final 3. I'm sure you've never thought about this before, but what would you have made if you got to that final meal?
Oh, that's not the way I thought this question was going.
Huh?
Because the way I've thought about it, like, oh, how did it feel? Do you wish you made it to the finals? You were so close.
Yeah.
All those things.
No.
Well, honestly, I'm glad. I'd rather be 3 than 2, because 3 you don't have to cook that ultimate meal of your life, and then lose.
Yeah.
Imagine cooking the best meal you've ever cooked. Like you get to do whatever you want. There's no challenge constrictions. You could order whatever ingredients you need.
Yeah.
And then you lose.
Yeah.
That sucks.
That sucks. You poured your heart out on a plate, and they're like, we like the other person better.
Versus, oh, I almost made it there, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I've never thought about that. At this point now, it would definitely be pasta. Mm-hmm. I probably would have worked in corn, for sure. One of my favorite ingredients. Maybe in two ways, a sweet or savory. I'm a big fan of pistachios. And, like, I do a really wonderful molten lava pistachio cake.
Oh, my God.
Instead of, like, chocolate, I'll do pistachio. And I remember, if you're, like, very detailed Top Chef fan of that season, there was a burnt wheat flour, a grano arso, that I had specially ordered because as the top three, you get to put in your orders for the finale.
Right.
So they have your ingredients there.
Yeah.
And so my ingredients were in the pantry as we're cooking the finale meal with Joe Flam. And he wanted to do like a grano arso risotto.
Right.
And I was like, forget that. Like, I have this special flour here. Let me make pasta with it. You make your pig head filling that you wanted to put in risotto.
Yeah.
And let me do the grano arso flour.
Yeah.
And it'll be something the judges will never forget.
Yeah.
And so being able to have that collaborative moment, still be able to like do a dish that I kind of would have done on the finale.
Yeah.
And then I was like Nancy Silverton, Jonathan Waxman, like blew their socks off.
Yeah.
They were like, oh my God, I've never had grano arso. What is this? It's so cool. What a great story. And so like being able to still present something that's almost mine in the finale and help Joe win kind of like made it all worthwhile.
So you're basically saying you're the reason Joe Flam won.
I mean, those are your words, not mine.
Off the record, he didn't say that, I did. Look, we're not going to talk about season 17 because I know that must be a painful memory for you.
Well, I'll tell you what. Out of 17 seasons, only 17 chefs got invited back. And I was one of them.
That's fair.
So to at least make it that far is an accomplishment.
Yeah. And obviously, we're talking about this in jest because unfortunately somebody has to go home first. And I believe it was an outdoor challenge, right?
It was an outdoor challenge on the beach. And as if I don't already hate beaches, I'm not a beach fan.
Yeah.
Sand is like nature's glitter. I hate it. It gets everywhere. It's the worst. And then now we have to cook on sand, spend the day in the sand. And, I got eliminated, but I was back on All Stars. I got to do an episode. I could say I'm a Top Chef All Star.
You sure
I
are.
made it all that way.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's an accomplishment in itself.
Dude, absolutely. Now, look, after Top Chef, you moved down to Los Angeles. Is that right?
I did. I was helping a friend open a restaurant here in LA where we are. I forget where we are sometimes.
Yeah.
So
We're in Los Angeles right now. Yeah.
Everywhere. Here in LA, over in the Beverly Center, which is no longer there. It was short-lived, but it was a fun opportunity.
And whereabouts did you live when you were in LA?
I was living in West Hollywood. I was like it was Hollywood. I was right off of Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah.
In the thick of it. And I wish I could say I loved LA.
Yeah. Dude, you could be frank here.
I didn't love LA.
What didn't you love?
The traffic, probably primarily.
Yeah.
Just even like getting down the street to get to the freeway could be like a half an hour ordeal.
It sure can. Especially from where you were.
Yeah, it was awful. And then you just kind of like be in that area where I was interacting with a lot of that like stereotypical LA arrogant crowd.
Yeah.
That's like too cool for school or like they're doing you a favor for everything and like just this big kind of like scene-y sort of situation. I really enjoy visiting LA now because the food's awesome.
Yeah.
There's food you can only get here that you can't get anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
And there are still like pockets of still wonderful people. But like I think as a whole it's a very hard city to meld with.
Totally. I mean, honestly, what you just described is so many people's experience because LA is like, 1,000 cities in one. Depending on where you live, it completely alters your experience. And I would not want my worst enemy to live where you lived, my friend. So I don't envy you at all. But speaking of that good food, what are your favorite spots to eat when you come to LA?
I personally, I can't come to LA without tacos. I am a taco fanatic. My favorite thing to do when I'm in LA is to go on a taco tour.
Okay.
And like, I have a list of spots that I like to go to where it's like, I'll go to this one for the tortillas because I really like tortillas. I'll go to this one because I like their pink drink.
Yeah.
You pick up a pink drink for the road. I go to this one because I like their chorizo. I go to this one because I like the carne asada. I go to this one because I like the molitas. And so like all the different things, really good stuff about each of them. And I just like, you can't get that street food LA taco scene anywhere else really outside of Mexico.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's like these little stands that pop up on the side of the road, the generator and some lights and a tent and a fire and barbecue, and it's like totally illegal.
Yeah. But that's why it's good.
And that's why it's so good. And it's just some of the best tacos, some of the best food that I've had. And it's like those, like, I think some of my favorites, it's like a Tire Shop Taqueria.
Oh, yeah.
Downtown.
Okay,
It's probably top notch. I really like El Russo for their flour tortillas. Their carne asada is amazing.
Yeah.
Angels, Tijuana tacos are really good. If you're over on the west side, Brothers Cousins is a good one. If you're over there, obviously you got like La Única, Birria, Mariscos Jaliscos, the shrimp tacos down there.
Yeah.
Like there's just something like special about, like, every taco is unique, and it's like I'm obsessed.
Yeah. I am really impressed because you don't live here and you just brought out some like deep cuts. Like Brothers Cousins has had a bit of like a coming to the foreground over the recent years, but you know, a couple years ago not a lot of people knew about that.
It was like kind of, it was what, you know, the reason I found out about it is because it's the only thing on the west side.
Yeah.
And if I'm working over in Santa Monica or I'm doing an event over there, I want tacos when I'm done.
Yeah.
And there's not much else for tacos if you're over there, and going all the way downtown where most of them are.
Yeah.
Is not, you're not going to do that.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, it depends on how crazy you
depends.
are. Yeah. Dude, I'm really impressed. Okay, next time we're doing a taco crawl, and
I mean, like, I love it better than bar crawls because it's like you go to one place, then you smoke a joint on your way to the next.
Yeah.
Then you're ready to eat more, and then you smoke a joint on the way to the next one, then you're ready to eat more.
That's the point.
And you just keep going.
Yeah.
Until someone taps out, then you make fun of them.
Yeah.
And then you go on to the next one without them. My taco tip for everyone out there wanting to do tacos, because I don't see anyone do this. Similar to the gelato tip in Rome.
Uh-huh.
When you go to a place and they have, especially if they're making fresh tortillas, this is like critical. If they're making fresh tortillas, order a plain cheese quesadilla. They're going to try to put meat in it for you. You just want cheese. Then get all your other tacos too. Get a carnitas, get a chorizo, get the mole negro, whatever it is that you want. But then that cheese quesadilla becomes your palate cleanser in between all of your different salsas, all of your different meats and chilies.
Wow.
And because there's only cheese on it, you can really taste the quality of their masa. You can tell the type of corn they're using. You can tell the type of flour they're using. You can tell how fresh it is. And so that cheese quesadilla then becomes almost like your needle judging how good of a taco or tortilla they're really making, because they're not hiding behind all the spices and meats and everything else.
That is a Jedi level tip that you've just given our audience, man. That's crazy from someone who's not even living in LA right now.
I am a taco fiend.
Yeah, savant, it seems. You've been thriving since Top Chef. We've seen it here with Tantos. You know, there's so many things that you're up to. I always love seeing you on TV. I'm actually one of the biggest fans in the world, you might not know this, of the Tournament of Champions.
Oh, man.
And I know that you've been on that show a couple times.
I've been on it since season 3. I know season 6 is coming up soon. Can't say anything about it yet, but I don't know. I guess people have to stay tuned for that. But that show is, I start getting nightmares leading up to it.
The randomizer?
Just like anxiety about the rounds and cooking, because there's so much stress that goes into it. I mean, we're talking about the Olympics this year. It's the equivalent of like our like Food Network Culinary Olympics. It's the best of the best.
Yeah.
Chefs from all over the country.
Yeah.
And there's just so much pressure put on us to perform.
Yeah.
In an environment that you have no idea what's going to happen until that moment the randomizer stops.
Dude, people don't give that show enough credit, honestly, because it is, to your point, it's just unadulterated competition.
It's
like
wild.
Baddest motherfuckers in cooking competition with the craziest ingredients, so ridiculous time limits, like 25 to 30 minutes. Who is like the opposite of dream, like your nightmare person to face in Tournament of Champions?
I would hate to go against like the Voltaggio in round 1, Michael.
Yeah.
Simply because of like his level of like the way his brain works.
Yeah.
He's so wildly creative.
Yeah.
And almost like diabolical when it comes to like the way his mind approaches ingredients and tools and equipment and ways to use things that you shouldn't or wouldn't normally use something.
Yeah.
And so, like, he could think so fast, he could move so fast. He has countless number of competitions under his belt. The amount of times he's competed is out of control. And just like, he's one of those chefs that I grew up, like, reading his cookbook, Volt, when I was, like, a young line cook.
Yeah.
And then now here I am competing on the same stage as him, quite possibly against him, he's not the guy that I want to go against right in the first round.
I know what you should do if next time you face Voltaggio. You make balls, bro.
Make balls.
Like you did last time, you surfing balls again.
Let's just keep our fingers crossed that someone else has to eliminate him before it comes down to me.
For me, my nightmare contestant to go against, and I'm not even a competition cook, is Brooke Williamson.
She was like my second. I was almost said that.
Yeah.
Because I know she's very good at competition cooking. Mm-hmm. And like good. Competition cooking is a different style of than restaurant cooking. Yeah. And a lot of people don't think of it that way, but like the judges are only taking 1 or 2 bites.
Yeah.
There are only some things you can make in short periods of time. Mm-hmm. You can't do very long sauces or very long braises or things that take multiple days to make.
Yeah.
Things need to be colorful, impactful, flavorful, and something that is not going to die as it sits there over time because the food's not always judged right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so competition cooking is a little bit different.
Yeah.
The more and more you do it, the better you get at it. But it's a whole nother mindset than the very first time you cook in a competition. You're not cooking like you are in a restaurant.
People don't understand that. Especially on Tournament of Champions, when they, when Guy, by the way, Guy, one of my all-time heroes, but when Guy brings out one of the big chefs, and they're like, oh, this year we were able to get this chef.
Yeah.
I think it was Sobel last year. Someone brought him in, and he was like, "Oh, this guy's incredible chef, has all these accolades, but hasn't done a ton of competition cooking." You always bet against that person because this is a different ballgame.
And a lot of it too is in the restaurant, you're constantly folding your towel, wiping down your cutting board, stacking your bowls nicely, putting things when you're in competition, it's you finish something, you throw it under the table, throw it under things just get tossed underneath, thrown on the side. You're not separating your eggshells from your pans. It's everything just gets out of your way.
Yeah.
And it's a disaster. God bless the culinary team that has to clean up after us after every round and reset the kitchen. That's a whole nother feat in itself, those guys. But yeah, getting out of the mindset of everything has to be prim proper and this is how we do it in the restaurant. You only got 30 minutes. Forget how you do it in the restaurant. Get it done.
Yeah, totally. Look, we're coming up to time here, but I wanted to ask you, as I said, you've been thriving. Tantos, Tournament of Champions, you're judging Chopped, you're doing amazing things, but, do you ever miss the restaurant life? Do you ever think about going back to the restaurant life?
I think about it, for sure. I would love to be able to bring my food to the masses. And so there's definitely been thoughts about it. There have been conversations about it. I think when the time is right, it'll happen.
Yeah.
But that's why I keep doing pop-ups and events. And I'm constantly traveling around the country because it's people can't necessarily come to me to eat, but I could go to them.
Yeah.
And I could cook for them. And that's part of the idea behind Tantos. It's yes, I don't have a brick and mortar, but now I have pasta that finally meets snacking.
Yeah.
You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Eat Tantos.
Yeah.
You get a little 1 ounce bag. You get a 4 ounce bag.
Yeah.
You could share it with friends, or you could just get a subscription for it.
You're not going to want to share this, guys.
And never have to worry about it getting refilled. But so that was part of the idea. Is if I get Tantos all across the country, at least then part of me is with everyone. Yeah. And then by the time I'm ready to open a restaurant, then people can come to me.
Totally. Yo, well, we're excited about Tantos. We're excited about whatever you choose to do next, Chef. Final question for you, because if I didn't ask this question, I'd probably be fired off my own podcast. How was the mustache born?
Oh, there's an origin story. It's over 10 years old at this point.
Wow.
It's been around a very long time. There was a little event in San Francisco when I was a young line cook. I just graduated college. I was living in a house with 6 or 7 roommates, and we're doing beta breakers.
Oh yeah, of course.
Where everybody dresses up in wild costumes and parades down the street and has fun. It's a big outdoor party all day. And I dressed up as the person with the cape that ties people down to train tracks.
Oh
and,
yeah.
With the mustache and we're all dressed up as silly villains or something.
Yeah.
Me and my roommates. And I kept the mustache. I went to work on Monday or Tuesday or whatever, and I was oh, I'll keep it for a day or two. And then fast forward, I don't even know, 13, 14 years later, it's still here, and it's here to stay.
Yeah, at this point, do you even remember what you look like without it?
There's a few pictures out there.
Yeah.
But I would say the majority of people in my life now don't know me without it.
Yeah.
Very few people have ever known me now or seen me without it.
Yeah.
And you'd have to do a very deep dive to find a picture with no mustache.
Also, Guy would have to come up with a completely new nickname for you on Tournament of Champions.
It wouldn't work.
No, it wouldn't.
Well, for now, it's Mustache Joe.
Yeah, Scruff Joe just doesn't work the
doesn't,
same,
Doesn't work.
All right, I know that was the last question, but I actually got one more for you, which I ask all our guests. When you look back on your journey, what are you most proud of?
Ooh, I would say inspiring others to get in the kitchen and cook. Especially like during COVID, when times were like really dark for the industry and for people in general. And being able to share recipes and get people in the kitchen, teach people how to cook, just to kind of like get people to forget about all those stresses that they had in their lives.
Yeah.
And to get re-excited about food and to get people back in the kitchen and to get people doing new things and trying new things. I think that's something I'm really, really proud of.
That's really cool, man. Chef, if people are looking for you, where can they find you online? Not in person.
All of the social channels, chef.joe.sasto, Chef Joe Sasto, joesasto.com. And then, of course, Tantos. We have Eat Tantos, at Eat Tantos. We're on Amazon. We're on Instagram, a TikTok shop. You look for us, you find us, and you can get Tantos right in your hands.
Get Tantos, folks. We'll put it all in the show notes. Chef Joe, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. What a joy. And thank you to everybody for listening.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the LA Food Podcast. Thanks to our guest, Chef Joe Sasto, for making the time to come visit us while he was in Los Angeles. Seriously, next time you're in town, Chef, we're going on that taco crawl. Thanks as always to Father Saul for making the time for us as well. And thanks to Adam Skaggs, Tim Bertolini, and Tiffany Perez, who helped make this podcast possible. If you like what you heard today, dear listener, make sure to go wherever you listen to podcasts, leave us a rating, review, subscribe. Seriously, I cannot emphasize how much we appreciate it. We'll be back next week with another epic episode, but if you're looking for me in the meantime, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and even the website, The LA Countdown. That's TheLACOUNTDOWN. The website is TheLACountdown.com. Subscribe to our newsletter in the show notes, LA Food Stack, and also find us on Instagram at LA Food Pod. That's LAFOODPOD.